Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy. Coming back at you with some more For Honor. We got a little bit of a discussion video today for you guys where we just talk about some things regarding the game and, give opinions and then leave the comments open for a bit of discussion to where you guys can type some stuff. People can reply, I can reply, things of that nature. And to be honest, today we have an interesting question. It's essentially, what does For Honor have to do to survive? And this was kind of sparked from, I was just going on Twitter and I saw that Daddy Law, who you don't know if he's a pretty prominent streamer in the community, put out a tweet, just asking everyone's opinion on the state of the game and whatnot, and everyone gave their opinions on it, and I did as well, on what we think kind of needs to make the game better, and what do you think are the issues right now. And to be honest, the game's in a very, very strange spot, I would have to say, because on one end, right, if you look at For Honor as it is right now, gameplay-wise, it's probably better than it has ever been since the game came out. Plus, probably with this new season and stuff, with all the other changes, it's going to feel even better. But the main thing, honestly, it's weird because it's better than it's ever been, but it's also almost more boring than it's ever been. It's a very strange thing to think about when the game is like in its like best state, but it's just like super boring to play. I don't know what it is. There's a lot of different things that people, I think, would say need to get changed in the game in general and stuff. And, I'm just going to use this video to give some of my opinions. I'm not going to bash the devs or anything because that's just a waste of time. And why would you do that? That just makes no sense. Essentially, the things that, at least the main issue, I think, with For Honor that is is kind of a big problem, and it's kind of plagued it ever since it came out, is the content that is in the game, right? So essentially, new seasons are kind of the high point of every, few months or what have you, where we're brought things like new finishers, new characters, new armors, weapons, etc., etc. That's kind of evolved since the beginning of the game. Like, we used to get, right up there, we'd usually get like 2 characters or whatever, plus everyone would get their own execution and stuff. And, now that we've gotten in there, it's basically on a season launch, we get usually some form of a battle pass that is related to whatever the lore that they have created. Maybe one character. We usually only get 2 characters per year now, which has kind of been that was the thing with last year as well, where we got the Warmonger and the Griffin, and we're getting 2 scheduled for this year, so that's definitely gone down as well. And another thing I'll just point out right at the top, I don't know the funding that the For Honor developers get, right? They don't make the decisions on how much money that they can put on the game. I'm sure if they could, they would do, unlimited amount of, resources and like content to be put into the game. But, obviously the higher ups at Ubisoft make the decisions on those. So, we can't obviously, I guess, judge them in that sense. But now I would say it's like, it used to be the content that comes out would, last you a couple weeks or whatever, and you'd be like, okay, yeah, I'm having fun with this. And then it kind of gets to the point when you're at like mid-season, towards the end of the season, like these past few weeks have been just absolutely atrocious for me. Oh my gosh, I haven't even wanted to play the game, to be honest, because just have zero idea on anything to make. So, it starts off and then it just ends up becoming the same old game after, again, the game does have a good amount of replay, but essentially you are playing the same thing over and over and over and over again, and without new things, it tends to get a little bit stale after a while. And obviously they've had issues when it comes to the pandemic with putting out content and everything. I don't think that they've been able to mocap animations and stuff for executions or whatever since the pandemic started. I'm pretty sure, because they can't be, they're not in-house doing those things, so that could be one of the reasons why we haven't gotten like exclusive executions for like each character and everything. Maybe once they go back, they can have, more of an option. And I'm sure like just in general, the overall pandemic has hurt a lot of the different stuff on there, but we have been getting consistently, some stuff put out, which I can praise them for. I do appreciate them continuing to, throw updates and put content as much as they can during this situation that we are in. I know it's actually Canada's, I feel like, I think went back into a lockdown or whatever, so I think the situation over there is a little bit more intense than it is in some of the other parts of the world. But in general, when we're looking at it, yeah, content right now is pretty much just like a battle pass maybe an event that comes out. And I just think that, yeah, I don't know if what the decisions are, but I think their assets are used in the wrong ways, personally speaking. When we look at stuff like this, like, right, people, I think if we just got like one like really nice full set of armor, maybe like an execution for everybody on there at the start, I think people would be more happy than what we like get right now. A lot of the battle pass stuff can be hit or miss. A lot of the weapons and stuff that they make from events, I don't think are as nice as what a lot of people expect. And then in general, one of the things that I have not been able to understand personally with this is I find we have a bunch of events that get put into the game, right? And I don't think we need any of them. I really don't think we need any of these events, right? They build a little story behind it and, do some lore and whatever. And, that's cool and everything. And a lot of the art that they make for it is really, really nice. But in general, we don't need these events, I think, because you put an event out and you know what happens? It gets played for 1 or 2 days and then it's immediately at low activity. So I don't understand the time and the effort to create, different game modes that have different parameters and stuff and put them into the game and, change up the map itself when, they put it on there. Like, when we see the Chimera one, it had like the little banquet look to it and Daubeny saying things and whatnot. But, like, why do we need that? I mean, it's just no one plays it after, like, 1 or 2 days. And I don't know if they have, like, data saying that otherwise, but no one's really playing it. So I think that's a little bit of a mismanaged thing on there. Again, I'm not a creator or whatever. I don't know what the position would be, a creative person, director or whatever, who comes up with, like, what they end up putting into the game and whatnot. So, I mean, my opinion's just kind of stupid. But in general, I think that if we one of the things that just like keeping the content fresh throughout the entire season would be kind of one of the main things that I think could keep this game going, right? And the only issue is that we really only see like one patch per season. It's like we get a patch at the beginning of the season, then we have that whole season with that patch, and we don't get anything updated in between. If we were to get something like at least mid-season or, more frequently updated into the game and stuff, even with like balancing and stuff, I'm sure that would have quite a big effect on the community in general, because then they would have new things that get changed and things to try out and everything. And I think that brings people back into the game when you see the patches and whatnot. Whether it's good or bad, it still brings people back into the game. So in general, I think that a lack of like updates and stuff really does help. It does hurt the game quite a bit. And in general, like, I mean, if you're supposed to get excited about content of the week, and I know, again, like I said with the pandemic and stuff, it's been harder, but like the like 8th week in a row when you get a freaking instrument emote, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, I get it. The instruments are cool, but like, was that gonna keep me playing the game? Honestly, no, not really. I might buy it and then play a few games, but it's not like, oh, you telling me they put in a freaking drum? Time to play the game for 10 hours? No, probably not. That's probably not gonna happen. And I think another thing that they could do relatively easy, just a little bit of a tangent off to the side, is do way more of the XP Fest. I know they've been doing them more frequently, but I know, what was it, like Battlefront 2 or something had a thing where like every Wednesday or whatever, it would be a double XP day or something. If we did that, or just had like every Thursday, because that's like the Warriors then, just be a double XP day and just kept that going, I think that could bring in a good amount of people to the game and, at least keep them playing it on that day. We would see probably higher peak players. But in general, I think the content being stale is kind of one of the things that, a game would struggle with. Obviously, keeping it fresh for people who have been playing the game for 5 years is extremely difficult. But I find other games, do a good job at this. The crossover events that we've had with like other games are really good. And you see games, like Dead by Daylight are always expanding into like licensed stuff. And I think that For Honor was pretty interesting when we did, things like the Prince of Persia events and the Assassin's Creed and the Shovel Knight. Like, I know, like, again, the events aren't as crazy, but at least, seeing crossovers with different games and stuff are really nice to see, and I think that helps keep it fresh. But yeah, my main issue, I think, is just like the content side of it is really, really meh, in my opinion. And then you can talk about some of the other things. A lot of other people talked about too the option selects. I would have to agree with that. I don't remember who put it on there. It's essentially, everyone with option selecting. If you don't know what that is, it's hitting a button that can cover multiple options in an attack or whatever. So essentially, let's say someone throws an unblockable. And then when that unblockable is going to come through, you end up hitting the zone button in the direction of where the attack's coming from. If they throw the attack through, it ends up parrying it. But if they don't throw the attack through and feint it, you end up doing a zone. So it's covering multiple different options right there. So in general, the zone option select isn't that much of an issue, but it does raise the question too. Why should the person who's on the offensive, who's doing the mix-up, be worried about actually getting mixed up themselves from the defensive position, right? So they're going through, throwing an unblockable, trying to do a mix-up, but then they end up getting mixed up because they're not sure if the person's going to zone or if they're going to do a GB option select, which is a way worse thing to actually do because that one's way more uncounterable than the actual zone option select is. You can bait out option select, which is a very nice feeling. Don't get me wrong, when you like deflect someone who like option selects you, that's like a big fuck you, and it feels good. But in general, yeah, those things do not help the game. I guess in terms of the fighting aspect, we have things like the feats that need balancing. Dude, we would never like get. I find that we don't get any like feat balancing. Like the most changes to really like feats in general. I know we had one at the beginning of, I don't know if it was even year 4 or if it was year 5, but we did have some retweaking to some of them. But in general, there's way more things that could be addressed. I think the last like changes to feats were just, they removed thick blood, and they didn't even like rebalance it, and they just put in a completely new one. But we still have things like slippery as a feat. We have things like smoke bomb at a tier 2, which is absolutely freaking busted. That is literally insane. We got a goddamn spear storm, which is just, it just obliterates people. We got fury flask, which, you know, it's just, you're dead. And I think if we had some changes to some of these things, that would be pretty good, like, right? Wouldn't Raider like to have himself a 4th feat? Shaolin, right? Nope, slippery. It's just, you're choosing then between, if you're on Shaolin, it's just Scout and whatever the blink thing, and that blink thing just puts you into fucking lava and you end up dying, so it's really like you're just running Scout. But yeah, that would be nice to see as well, and changes in that. I think that, you know, in terms of like the gameplay state, it's better than it has been. Obviously still need some balancing and stuff to go, but yeah, probably the main thing is like just in general, I think it's content that needs to keep being fresh, because it just, at the end of the day, it stays like at the beginning of a new season, right? You know, we're getting a lot of stuff coming up in this new one with like the 7 character changes from the testing grounds, and then we're getting a new character. But how long will that really last? Will that end up being, you know, still something that makes the game much better and continues on for, you know, past 2 weeks? Or is it the same old thing where we play it and then everyone gets used to it, and then it's like, all right, now it's just the same thing over and over and over again? Who the heck knows? I have no idea. That's just kind of my 2 cents on this. You guys can let me know what you think are the main issues in the game, and maybe what your ideas are to solve them. You know, if you could do it without like completely bashing the devs, that would be more respected, because there's no real point in doing that, because that's not gonna, you know, that's not gonna make anything better just by, you know, blatantly making fun of people or whatever. If you can get some constructive criticism on there, that'd be good. You know, my thing is like content again too, with like maps and, you know, just keeping the game fresh and wanting to keep playing on there, instead of, you know, oh, it's just the same game, you know, I'm just playing X character for the 18,000th time. You know, I don't know. I think some resources are allocated in strange ways, but, you know, at the same time, I don't know all the resources they have available. Things like option selects too. I don't usually option select. I've probably option selected like 3 times in my entire For Honor career. I don't. It's just kind of one of those things where it's just like, yeah, if you're on the offensive, why does the person with the defense have all of the power in that situation? I think that's a bit of a head scratcher as well. And then in like I said, with like different balancing and stuff, but that's with every game. But I just wanted to make a little bit of a rant type thing, just how it can survive. If, like, I think the 3 things to keep it surviving would be more influential and impactful content more frequently, and with that comes also more patches more frequently. It just has to get updated. You know, it can't get updated every like 3 months. That just isn't gonna cut it. I think it's gonna eventually it's just gonna keep fizzling out and get lower and lower, and then obviously, you know, just in general, it's probably just like keeping the content fresh, keeping the game fresh with patches and with like stuff that people actually want to have in the game. that would keep them playing. So yeah, just wanted to throw this out there. I probably rambled around all over the place. I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on too, what you think that it could do to continue to survive going into, we're in its 5th year of the game's conception. So it's gonna, if they want to keep going with it, they got to probably increase the enjoyment factor a little bit. So if you guys enjoyed this, drop a like on it, comment, subscribe. This is just some raw thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.